The ping came through during my daughter's violin recital. I should have ignored it. Should have kept my eyes on Emma as she positioned her bow for Vivaldi's Spring Movement, her small hands trembling with concentration. But the phone buzzed again in my pocket, insistent, and something in my gut twisted. 3 more buzzes in rapid succession. My wife Nicole sat beside me, radiant in the dim auditorium light, her hand resting on my knee like she'd done for 12 years of marriage. She leaned close, whispering, "She's doing amazing, isn't she?" I nodded, but my hand was already moving toward my pocket. The messages weren't for me, not exactly. They'd come through on an old iPad I'd given Emma for educational apps, synced to my iCloud account. I'd forgotten about that connection until now. "You were incredible today. Can't stop thinking about this afternoon. When can we do that again?" My vision tunneled. The sender showed as D with a heart emoji. I clicked on the contact. The number wasn't saved in my phone, but the message thread went back months. I scrolled up with numb fingers, watching my marriage disintegrate in real time. Photos loaded. I recognized our bedroom immediately. The gray duvet cover Nicole had insisted on buying from that boutique in Portland. The abstract painting her mother had given us for our 10th anniversary. But I didn't recognize the man in the pictures. Younger than me, maybe 30, with the kind of build that came from having time for the gym every day instead of working 60-hour weeks at the firm. The photos were suggestive, strategic. Nothing explicitly graphic, but the intent was crystal clear. I kept scrolling, my throat closing. "Missing you already, from 3 days ago." That was Thursday. I'd been in Seattle for a deposition. "Your husband travels so much? Must be lonely," from 2 weeks back. "He doesn't deserve you," from a month ago. The thread went back 6 months, half a year of my wife sharing intimate details about our life, our marriage, our problems with some stranger, complaining about how I worked too much, how I didn't see her anymore, how she felt invisible. Then the messages shifted, became flirtatious, then explicit in their implications, if not their actual words. I've never felt this way before. "This is wrong, but I can't stop. He's leaving for Portland tomorrow. Come over at 2 sao." That last one was from this morning. I'd kissed Nicole goodbye at 6 a.m., told her I'd be back by dinner time. The deposition had been canceled an hour later, but I decided to surprise everyone by coming home early to make Emma's recital. Surprise. On stage, Emma drew her bow across the strings, the sweet notes of Vivaldi filling the auditorium. Other parents held up phones, recording. Nicole dabbed at her eyes with a tissue, proud. I looked at my wife, really looked at her. The woman I'd met in law school, who'd supported me through the bar exam and those brutal first years as an associate. Who'd held my hand through Emma's difficult birth. Who'd decorated our house in Riverside with such care. Who'd built a life with me. Who'd invited another man into our bed while I was working to pay for this life. The recital ended to thunderous applause. Emma beamed, taking her bow. Nicole stood, clapping enthusiastically, then turned to me with shining eyes. "Wasn't she perfect?" "Perfect," I echoed. We filed out with the other families, Emma running up to us in the lobby, violin case bouncing against her leg. "Daddy, did you see? Did you see me?" I scooped her into my arms, breathing in her strawberry shampoo. "You were the best one up there, sweetheart. No contest." "Can we get ice cream?" Mom said maybe if you said yes. I looked at Nicole over Emma's head. She smiled, that same smile I'd woken up to for 12 years. Nothing in her expression suggested guilt or worry. She looked happy, relaxed. "Sure, baby," I said. "Ice cream sounds great." We drove to Emma's favorite place in my Audi, Nicole in the passenger seat scrolling through her phone, probably texting him. The thought made my hands tighten on the steering wheel. "You okay?" Nicole asked. You seem tense. Long day, I managed. The deposition was rough. I thought it was canceled. My blood went cold. What? Your secretary called the house this morning. Said the deposition was canceled and you'd probably be home early. Nicole's voice was casual, unconcerned. I tried calling you, but it went to voicemail. She'd known I might come home, and she'd still invited him over. Must have missed the call, I said. Had my phone on silent. We got ice cream. Emma chattered about the recital, about her friends, about wanting to learn a harder piece. Nicole laughed at all the right moments, squeezed my hand across the table, licked chocolate chip mint from her spoon. I watched her like a stranger, cataloging every expression, every gesture, wondering how long she'd been lying, how many times she'd kissed me after kissing him, how many nights she'd rolled over in our bed, satisfied, while I slept beside her like a fool. Daddy, you're not listening, Emma complained. Sorry, princess. What did you say? I said Mrs. Patterson wants me to audition for the youth orchestra. Can I? Of course you can. Emma grinned, and Nicole caught my eye, her expression warm with shared parental pride. Like we were a team, like we were solid. The ice cream shop's fluorescent lights made everything look slightly unreal. Emma sat between us in the booth, swinging her legs, working on a sundae that was mostly whipped cream and sprinkles. Nicole had ordered mint chocolate chip. She always ordered mint chocolate chip. I watched her take a bite, watched her smile at something Emma said about the recital. The spoon went to her lips. She chewed, swallowed. Completely normal. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out. Work email. I scanned it without really reading it, then noticed the time. 8:47. The recital had ended just after 8. We'd been here almost half an hour. Daddy, you're not eating yours. Emma pointed at my untouched cup of Rocky Road. Just checking something for work, sweetheart. Nicole glanced at my phone, then at me. Can it wait? We're celebrating. The word celebrating hit differently than it should have. I set the phone face down on the table. You're right. I picked up my spoon. The ice cream had started to melt. I took a bite. Tasted like nothing. Emma launched into a detailed recap of who had messed up during the performance. Some kid named Tyler had come in early during the second movement. Another girl's bow had slipped. She was generous about it, not mean, just observational. Nicole listened with her full attention, asking questions, laughing in the right places. I watched Nicole's hands. She'd touched him with those hands. This morning. While I was supposed to be at a deposition. The deposition that got canceled. That thought had been circling since the auditorium, but now it landed with weight. Nicole knew about the cancellation. I'd texted her at 11:30. Deposition canceled. Should be home by 3. She'd responded, Great, more time to get ready for Emma's recital. And then she'd invited him over at 2. The timeline assembled itself with mechanical precision. I'd actually gotten home at 2:45. The house had been empty. Nicole had been out picking up Emma from school, she'd said. Emma's school let out at 3:15. 30 minutes unaccounted for. I'd walked through the house that afternoon, changed out of my suit, checked email in my office. Everything normal. No evidence of anyone having been there. But Nicole was careful. She'd had 6 months to get careful. What do you think, babe? I looked up. Nicole was watching me, expectant. Sorry, what? Emma wants to know if we can stop by the mall tomorrow. She needs new shoes for orchestra. Sure, yeah, that's fine. Nicole's eyes lingered on me for a beat longer than necessary. You okay? You seem distracted. Long day, just tired. She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Her skin was warm. I know you've been working so hard. I'm really glad you made it tonight. It meant everything to Emma. Emma nodded enthusiastically, whipped cream on her upper lip. You saw me do the hard part. You were perfect, I said. The word came out automatically. Nicole smiled and withdrew her hand, going back to her ice cream. The spot where she'd touched me felt cold. My phone buzzed again. I flipped it over. Another work email, this one from Jeff Paulson, one of the senior partners. Subject line, Monday morning meeting. I opened it. Need to discuss the Westridge case. Some developments. 9 a.m. my office. Westridge was a commercial real estate dispute. Complex, high stakes, but nothing that required a weekend heads up. I typed back a quick confirmation and set the phone down. Work emergency? Nicole asked. Just scheduling. They really do own you, don't they? She said it lightly, teasing, but something flickered behind her eyes. Emma was scraping the bottom of her sundae cup, making that specific sound of spoon against cardboard. Can we come back next week? We'll see, sweetheart. Nicole checked her own phone, a casual glance. Her screen lit up. I couldn't see what was on it from my angle, but I watched her face. Nothing changed. She smiled at whatever she saw, typed something quick, and put the phone away. Was she texting him? Right now, sitting across from me? The urge to grab her phone was physical. I gripped my spoon harder. Ready to head home? Nicole asked. It's getting late for a school night. We gathered our things. Emma hopped out of the booth, still buzzing with post-performance energy. Nicole slid out after her, then waited while I stood. Her hand found the small of my back as we walked toward the exit, a gesture she'd done 1,000 times. Casual affection. Muscle memory. I wanted to flinch away from it. Didn't. The drive home took 12 minutes. Emma talked the whole way, her voice bright in the darkness of the car. Nicole responded from the passenger seat, turning occasionally to look back at Emma, then forward again. Her profile in the passing streetlights looked exactly like it always had. How long had she been doing this? The messages went back 6 months, but that didn't mean 6 months was the beginning. Could have been longer. Could have been years. No. The messages read like a progression. Tentative at first, then bolder. 6 months felt right. I pulled into our driveway at 9:18. The porch light was on, the way we always left it. Nicole had planted new flowers last week, petunias in ceramic pots flanking the door. I'd complimented them. She'd been pleased. Inside, the house smelled like the vanilla candle Nicole kept in the entryway. Everything in its place. Emma's backpack on the hook. Nicole's jacket on the chair. My briefcase where I'd left it this morning. Bath time, Em, Nicole said. School tomorrow. Can I have bubbles? Sure, baby. Go get your pajamas. Emma thundered up the stairs. Nicole moved toward the kitchen. Want some tea? I'm making some. I've got a few emails to finish up. She paused, turned back. It's almost 9:30. Won't take long. Something crossed her face. Concern? Annoyance? It vanished too quickly to identify. Don't stay up too late. You look exhausted. I went to my office, closed the door. Sat at my desk in the dark for a full minute before turning on the lamp. The iPad was in my briefcase. I pulled it out, opened the messaging app. The thread with D was still there. The last message still read, "Can't wait to see you." I scrolled up. Found today's messages. 2:47 p.m. D, that was incredible. You're incredible. 2:51 p.m. Nicole. I know. I can't stop thinking about it. 2:53 p.m. D, same time Thursday? He's got that Portland deposition. 2:55 p.m. Nicole. He might not go. It could get canceled. 2:57 p.m. D, has before? 2:59 p.m. Nicole. Sometimes I'll let you know Wednesday night. Wednesday night? 2 days from now. I took a screenshot. Then another of the earlier messages. Then the photo of him in our bed. My hands were steady. Everything felt very clear, very simple. I opened my laptop and created a new folder. Labeled it Property Records. Something boring, something Nicole would never click on if she happened to see it. Transferred the screenshots. Upstairs, I could hear water running. Nicole's voice muffled through the ceiling, talking to Emma. Normal bedtime routine, story after bath. Lights out by 10 on school nights. I opened a browser and typed, Divorce Attorneys Portland. Dozens of results. I clicked on the first firm, scanned their practice areas. Family law, asset division, child custody. I closed the browser. Not yet. I needed to think. Needed to plan. The office door opened. I minimized the iPad screen, looked up. Nicole stood in the doorway, mug of tea in her hand. Thought you might want this anyway. She set it on my desk. Chamomile. The kind she always made when I worked late. Thanks, she lingered. You sure you're okay? You've been weird since the recital. Just tired. Big week. The Portland thing? Yeah. She nodded slowly. When do you leave? Thursday morning, early. What time? The question was casual, just logistical, just a wife asking her husband about his schedule. 6:30, I said. Maybe earlier. Depends on traffic. Okay. She moved behind my chair, put her hands on my shoulders, started to massage. You're so tense. Her hands on me. The same hands that had been on him. This morning. In our bed. I stood up, stepped away, made it look natural, like I was just stretching. I should finish up. Won't be long. Her hands dropped. Right. Okay. She moved toward the door, paused. Don't forget Emma's school thing next week. Thursday afternoon, the art show. I'll be back by then. Promise? Promise. She smiled. Good. She'd be crushed if you missed it. Then she was gone, pulling the door closed behind her. I sat back down, picked up the tea, set it down without drinking. Thursday. She was already planning it, already setting it up. I pulled out my phone and texted my assistant. Need to reschedule Portland deposition, push to Friday if possible. The response came back in 30 seconds. Will do. Everything okay? Fine, just need Thursday here. I put the phone away and opened the iPad again. Read through more messages. Months of them. The progression was there. Tentative flirtation to explicit planning. Complaints about me, about my hours, about how I was never home. He doesn't even notice anymore. I could disappear and he'd just keep working. That one was from 3 months ago. She wasn't wrong. I had been working. 60-hour weeks, sometimes more. The Westridge case alone was consuming, but that's what paid for this house, for Emma's violin lessons, for the life Nicole seemed to enjoy. Upstairs, footsteps crossed the hallway. The bathroom door closed. Water ran again. Nicole's shower. She'd be in there 15 minutes, then another 10 getting ready for bed. I had time. I went through every message again, taking screenshots of anything that established pattern, timeline, or evidence of intent. By the time I finished, I had 47 images documenting 6 months of infidelity. The water shut off upstairs. I closed everything, cleared the recent apps on the iPad, and put it back in my briefcase. Drank the tea in 3 long swallows. It had gone lukewarm. When I went upstairs, Nicole was already in bed, reading on her phone. She looked up when I came in. Get everything done? Enough for tonight. I went through my own routine. Bathroom, teeth, changed into sleep clothes. The whole time my mind was running calculations. Assets, custody arrangements, discovery process. When I slid into bed, Nicole put her phone on the nightstand and turned toward me. I'm glad you made it tonight, really. Me too. She kissed me. Brief, familiar. Love you. The words sat in the air between us. Love you too, I said. She smiled and turned over, settling into her pillow. Within minutes, her breathing deepened into sleep. I lay there in the dark, staring at the ceiling, listening to my wife sleep beside me. Thursday, she'd try to see him again. Thursday, I'd be here. The receipt was dated 2 weeks ago. I stared at it, the numbers blurring slightly as my brain tried to process what the salesperson had just said. I'm sorry? Nicole's voice had that light, confused quality she used when dealing with customer service issues. What do you mean, the first dress? The woman, her name tag read Jessica, pulled up something on her computer. According to our system, a man returned a dress on this account last Tuesday. Different style, but same size. She looked at me. Was that you, sir? I shook my head slowly. I've never returned anything here. Nicole laughed, but it sounded forced. That's impossible. We only have one account. Jessica turned the monitor slightly. The return was processed at our downtown location. The gentleman had the receipt and your rewards card number. The store suddenly felt too warm. I looked at Nicole, whose face had gone very still. Can you describe him? The question came out before I'd decided to ask it. Jessica hesitated. I wasn't working that day, but... She clicked through a few screens. The associate noted he seemed familiar with the account, knew the phone number associated with it. Nicole's hand found my arm. This is obviously some kind of mistake. Maybe someone stole our card information? Maybe. I kept my voice neutral. What was the amount of the return? $247. Store credit was issued back to the account. I pulled out my phone, opened our shared credit card app. It took less than 30 seconds to find the charge. $240 at this store's downtown location, dated 3 weeks ago. And there, 1 week later, a $240 purchase at the same store. Different location, but same account. Nicole had bought something. Someone else had returned it. Then that same someone had used the store credit to buy something else. The dress I'm returning today, Nicole said, her voice tight. Can you just process it? Jessica looked between us, clearly uncomfortable. Of course. Do you have the receipt? Nicole handed it over. I watched her hand. It was completely steady. If she was panicking, she wasn't showing it. The return processed in silence. Jessica handed Nicole a store credit slip. Is there anything else I can help you with? No. Nicole's smile didn't reach her eyes. Thank you. We walked back to the car without speaking. Emma was at a playdate. We had another hour before pickup. Nicole got in the passenger seat and immediately pulled out her phone. I started the engine but didn't put the car in gear. So, it's obviously fraud. She was scrolling through something, not looking at me. Someone got our card number. I'll call the bank. They had your rewards card number, your phone number, which are all things that could be stolen. Her voice had an edge now. Why are you looking at me like that? How am I looking at you? Like you think I did something wrong. I pulled out of the parking space, merged into traffic. My hands felt disconnected from my body. Someone else's hands on the wheel. Did you give someone access to your account? No. Sharp, definitive. Because if you let someone use your store credit, that's not fraud. That's just, I didn't let anyone use anything. She was looking at me now. Jesus Christ, are you seriously accusing me of something? The light ahead turned red. I stopped, turned to face her. I'm asking a question. It sounds like an accusation. Then answer it clearly. Did you know about that return? Her eyes narrowed. No, I already said no. Why don't you believe me? Because you've been lying to me for 6 months. Because a 30-year-old man has been in our bedroom. Because you texted him yesterday about Thursday. I'm just trying to understand what happened. What happened is someone committed fraud on our account. She was using her lawyer voice now, the one she'd used in moot court, all reason and controlled indignation. And instead of being concerned about that, you're interrogating me in a parking lot. The light changed. I drove. Where are you going? She asked. Emma's playdate is the other direction. We have time. Time for what? I pulled into the parking lot of the downtown store location, the one where the mysterious return had been processed. Nicole went very still. What are you doing? I want to see if they have security footage. You're insane. Am I? I put the car in park, turned off the engine. If it's fraud, the footage will show some stranger. Then we'll have evidence for the police report. Her hand was on the door handle. This is ridiculous. I'm not going in there. Why not? Because it's embarrassing. Because you're acting paranoid. Because... She stopped, seemed to recalibrate. When she spoke again, her voice was softer. Baby, I know work has been stressful, and I know you're worried about Emma and everything with the recital, and this has nothing to do with work or Emma. Then what is it about? She reached over, put her hand on my knee. Talk to me. What's really going on? The physical contact felt like a violation. I looked down at her hand, the same hand that had touched him, the same hand that had sent those messages. I moved my leg slightly. Her hand fell away. I'm going inside, I said. You can come or wait here. I got out before she could respond. The downtown location was smaller, more upscale. A different woman at the counter, younger, with purple streaks in her hair. Hi, I need to speak to a manager about a fraudulent return. She blinked. Okay, let me get someone. The manager appeared within 2 minutes, a man in his 40s, professionally concerned expression already in place. I understand there's an issue with a return. I explained the situation, showed him the receipt, the dates, the credit card statement. Behind me, I heard the door chime, Nicole coming in after all. The manager nodded along. I can certainly check our records. Do you have ID? I handed over my driver's license. He disappeared into the back. Nicole stood next to me, arms crossed. You're making a scene. I'm resolving a potential fraud issue. You're being crazy. If I'm wrong, I'll apologize. If you're wrong. Her voice rose slightly. What exactly do you think you're going to find? The manager returned before I could answer. Sir, I've pulled up the transaction. The return was processed by one of our associates last Tuesday at 2:47 p.m. The same time she'd been texting Dee about meeting up. The same Tuesday I'd been in Seattle for a deposition that had run long. Do you have security footage from that day? He hesitated. We do, but I'm not authorized to show it to customers. If you believe a crime has been committed, you'd need to file a police report and... Can you at least tell me if the person who made the return was male or female? Another hesitation. He glanced at Nicole, then back at me. I really shouldn't... Please. Something in my voice must have convinced him. He sighed. The associate's notes indicate the customer was male, approximately 30 years old. He had the physical receipt and provided the rewards account phone number when asked. The floor felt unstable. 30 years old. The same age as Dee. Nicole made a small sound. Not quite a gasp, but close. Is there anything else I can help you with? The manager asked. No. My voice sounded far away. Thank you. Outside, Nicole was already walking toward the car. I caught up to her in the parking lot. Nicole. She didn't stop. Nicole, we need to talk about this. She whirled around. Talk about what? About how you're having some kind of paranoid breakdown? About how you just humiliated me in front of store employees? A man used your account, your phone number, your store credit. I don't know how that happened. Don't you? Her face changed, something shifting behind her eyes. What are you implying? I'm not implying anything. I'm asking directly. Do you know who returned that dress? No. You're lying. The words hung between us. A couple walking past glanced over, then quickly looked away. Nicole's voice dropped to barely above a whisper. How dare you? Tell me the truth. I am telling you the truth. Then explain it. Explain how a 30-year-old man had access to your store account, your phone number, your receipt. Her jaw tightened. I can't explain it. Maybe someone at the store made a mistake. Maybe their system is wrong. Maybe you gave him access. Silence. Who is he, Nicole? I don't know what you're talking about. The man who returned the dress. Who is he? Her phone buzzed in her purse. Once, then again. She didn't reach for it. We need to pick up Emma, she said finally. Answer the question first. There's nothing to answer. You're inventing some conspiracy because… She stopped, shook her head. I don't even know why. Because you want to believe I'm doing something wrong? Because you need a villain? I need the truth. I've given you the truth. You just don't want to accept it. Her phone buzzed again, 3 times in rapid succession. You should check that, I said. It's not important. How do you know if you haven't looked? Because nothing is more important than this conversation. But her hand moved toward her purse anyway, an unconscious gesture. Check it. Stop telling me what to do. I'm not telling you, I'm suggesting, since it seems so urgent. She pulled out her phone, glanced at the screen. Her expression didn't change, but I saw her thumb move, swiping away notifications. Just spam, she said. Let me see. Excuse me? Your phone. Let me see it. Absolutely not. Why not? If it's just spam, because you don't get to demand to see my phone like some controlling… She stopped herself. We're not doing this. We're getting Emma, we're going home, and we're going to calm down. Both of us. She walked to the car. Got in. Sat staring straight ahead. I stood in the parking lot, watching her through the windshield. She looked small suddenly. Trapped. Her phone screen lit up again in her lap. She glanced down, then quickly turned it face down. I got in the car. Neither of us spoke on the drive to pick up Emma. The silence in the car lasted until we pulled into Emma's school parking lot. Nicole got out without a word, her phone clutched in her hand like a lifeline. I watched her walk toward the entrance, her posture rigid. My own phone buzzed. A text from James Whitaker, one of the senior partners. Need you in Seattle tomorrow. Client meeting moved up. Can you make it? I stared at the message. Tomorrow was Tuesday. Thursday was supposed to be my day. The day I'd planned to stay home to catch them. But this was a command, not a request. James didn't ask associates if they could make meetings. He told them when to be there. What time? 10 a.m. Probably run until 4 or 5. You'll need to stay overnight. Wednesday too. Depositions all day. My jaw tightened. 2 days in Seattle, which meant I wouldn't be here Thursday morning either. Nicole returned with Emma, who climbed into the back seat chattering about her day. I barely heard her. My mind was already recalculating, replanning. Everything okay? Nicole asked, glancing at my phone. Seattle tomorrow, overnight. Wednesday too. Something flickered across her face. Relief? Satisfaction? It vanished too quickly to identify. How long? Back Thursday evening. Okay. She turned to look out the window. Emma has her violin lesson Thursday after school. I'll take her. Of course she would. That night, after Emma went to bed, I sat in my home office with the door closed. The screenshots were backed up in 3 separate locations now. Cloud storage under a new account Nicole didn't know about, a thumb drive in my desk drawer at work, and another thumb drive I'd hidden in the garage behind a box of old tax returns. I opened my laptop and started searching for private investigators in Riverside. The first 3 websites looked like they'd been designed in 2005. The fourth was better, professional, discreet, with testimonials that seemed genuine rather than fabricated. Riverside Investigative Services. Licensed, bonded, insured. Specializing in domestic cases. I filled out their contact form. Brief, factual. Need surveillance Thursday, November 16th. Suspected infidelity. Time sensitive. I included my cell number and email. The response came in less than 10 minutes. Received your inquiry. Can you talk now? I glanced at the closed office door, then dialed the number in the email. Riverside Investigative, this is Tom Brennan. I just submitted a contact form about surveillance. Right. Thursday. You said time sensitive? My wife is having an affair. I have documentation, text messages, photos, but I need visual confirmation. Thursday morning, probably between 9 and noon. Your address? I gave it to him. And you'll be where? Seattle. Work trip. She knows I'll be gone. Got it. I heard typing. Standard rate is $150 an hour, 4-hour minimum. We'll have 2 investigators, one for static surveillance, one mobile in case they leave the location. Video and photographic documentation, admissible in court if needed. Fine. I'll need a retainer, half up front. I can wire it tomorrow morning. Works for me. I'll email you the details. He paused. You said you have documentation already? 6 months of messages, screenshots, photos he sent her. Good. Keep those secure. Make sure they're backed up somewhere she can't access. Another pause. You doing okay? The question caught me off guard. I'm fine. Right. Well, we'll get you what you need. Expect an email in the next hour with the contract and payment info. Thank you. I ended the call and sat back in my chair. The office felt smaller than usual, the walls closer. Through the door, I could hear the television in the living room. Some show Nicole was watching. Normal. Ordinary. The sound of a Tuesday evening in a 12-year marriage. My phone buzzed. The email from Tom Brennan, exactly as promised. I skimmed the contract, then forwarded it to my personal email, the one I'd set up last week, the one Nicole didn't know existed. Wednesday morning, I left for Seattle at 6. Emma was still asleep. Nicole stood in the kitchen in her robe, coffee mug in hand. Drive safe, she said. I will. She stepped closer, rose on her toes, kissed my cheek. I smelled her lotion, the same lavender scent she'd worn for years. I'll miss you. Miss you too. The lie tasted like copper. The drive to Seattle took 3 hours. I spent most of it on the phone. Client calls, associate check-ins, a conference call with James about the meeting strategy. Work had always been my refuge. Now it felt like exile. The client meeting ran long, stretching past 6. By the time I checked into the hotel, I was exhausted. I ordered room service, ate half a sandwich, then opened my laptop. The wire transfer to Riverside Investigative had gone through that morning. Tom Brennan had confirmed receipt and sent a brief update. Team assigned. Surveillance begins 8 a.m. Thursday. We'll have preliminary report by 2 p.m. I pulled up the screenshots again, scrolled through them slowly, methodically. 6 months of messages, 6 months of lies. One message stood out, from 3 weeks ago. Can't wait for Thursday. Whole morning, just us. Nicole's response. I know, it's been too long. Your husband still traveling? Portland, deposition. Won't be back until evening. Perfect. That word again. Perfect. I closed the laptop and lay back on the hotel bed, staring at the ceiling. Tomorrow morning, while I sat in a deposition conference room 200 miles away, Tom Brennan and his team would be parked outside my house, watching, waiting, and Nicole would have no idea. Thursday morning, the deposition started at 8. 2 hours in, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Subject's vehicle still in garage. No movement yet. TB. I set the phone face down on the table and tried to focus on the witness testimony. The opposing counsel was droning through background questions, establishing foundation. Normally, I'd be taking notes, flagging inconsistencies. Instead, I kept glancing at my phone. At 10:47, another text. Vehicle arriving. Male, approximately 30, athletic build. Entering through front door. Subject answered. TB. My hand tightened around my pen. The deposition continued. The witness described a contract negotiation from 18 months ago. James asked a question about email correspondence. I heard myself responding, citing an exhibit number, but my voice sounded distant. 11:23. Subjects still inside. Blinds closed in a master bedroom, second floor east side. TB. The room felt airless. I excused myself, walked to the restroom, locked myself in a stall, leaned against the cold metal divider and breathed. This was what I'd wanted. Confirmation. Evidence. Visual documentation that would be admissible in court. That would leave no room for denial or deflection. But knowing it was happening, right now, in real time, while I stood in a bathroom 200 miles away, felt like drowning. I returned to the conference room. The deposition dragged on. Lunch break at noon. I ordered a sandwich I didn't eat and checked my phone. Subject male departed at 11:58 a.m. Obtained clear photographs and video of arrival and departure. Vehicle plates documented. Will continue monitoring until 2 p.m. as contracted. TB, 1 hour. They'd had 1 hour. In our bed, probably. On the gray duvet Nicole had picked out 3 years ago. Under the abstract painting she'd found at that gallery in Portland. I deleted the message and went back to the conference room. The deposition ended at 4. James wanted to debrief, discuss strategy for tomorrow's session. I nodded in the right places, made appropriate comments, and finally escaped to my car at 5:30. The full report from Tom Brennan was waiting in my email. I didn't open it. Not yet. Instead, I drove south on I-5, watching the Seattle skyline recede in my rearview mirror. Traffic was heavy. Thursday evening rush hour. It would take at least 4 hours to get home. I'd told Nicole I wouldn't be back until late. She'd probably assume I meant 9 or 10. I'd be there by 8. The drive back from Seattle took exactly 3 hours and 42 minutes. I knew because I watched every minute tick by on the dashboard clock. I pulled into the garage at 7:58 p.m. 2 hours earlier than I'd told Nicole to expect me. The house was lit up. Kitchen lights, living room lights, upstairs hallway. Through the garage door into the mudroom, I could hear the television. Some cooking show Nicole liked to watch while she made dinner. I set my briefcase down quietly. My phone was in my hand, Brennan's report still open. 37 photographs. Time-stamped, geotagged, professionally composed. The man arriving. The man leaving. The bedroom blinds closed for 1 hour and 11 minutes. "Daddy!" Emma appeared in the mudroom doorway, still in her school clothes. "You're home early." I picked her up, held her maybe a second too long. She smelled like the strawberry shampoo Nicole bought in bulk from Costco. "Surprise," I said. "Mom's making lasagna. The kind with the spinach you don't like but eat anyway." "My favorite." Nicole appeared behind Emma, wiping her hands on a dish towel. She wore jeans and a cream-colored sweater. Her hair was pulled back. She looked exactly like she always looked on a Thursday evening. "Hey," she said, smiling. "I thought you weren't getting in until 10. Deposition wrapped early. Traffic was lighter than expected." I watched her face. Nothing. No flicker of panic, no calculation behind her eyes. Just pleasant surprise. "Well, perfect timing. Dinner's almost ready." She kissed my cheek as I set Emma down. "How was Seattle?" "Productive." Emma grabbed my hand. "Can you help me with my math homework after dinner? Mom tried, but she doesn't remember how to do long division the way Mrs. Patterson teaches it." "Sure, sweetheart." I followed them into the kitchen. The lasagna was indeed in the oven. The table was set for 3. A salad sat in the wooden bowl Nicole's mother had given us as a wedding present. Everything was exactly as it should be. I washed my hands at the kitchen sink, watching Nicole move around the kitchen. She pulled garlic bread from the oven, transferred it to a basket lined with a cloth napkin. Efficient, practiced movements. 12 years of making dinner in this kitchen. "Wine?" she asked. "Sure." She poured 2 glasses of red. A Malbec we'd bought a case of last month because it had been on sale and we'd both liked it. We sat down. Emma chattered about school, about her friend Zoe's birthday party on Saturday, about how Mr. Murphy, her music teacher, said she was ready to start working on a harder piece. I ate the lasagna. It was good. Nicole had always been a better cook than me. "How's the Portland case going?" Nicole asked, passing the salad bowl. "Fine. Depositions are tedious but necessary." "When's your next trip?" I took a sip of wine. "Not sure yet. Depends on scheduling." "Well, give me as much notice as you can. I'm trying to plan that weekend trip to the coast with Emma, the one we talked about." "Right, the coast." Emma perked up. "Can we go to the aquarium again? I want to see the octopus." "Of course," Nicole said. She looked at me. "You're welcome to join if you can get away from work." I'll check my calendar. After dinner, I helped Emma with her math homework at the dining room table while Nicole cleaned the kitchen. Long division, just like Emma had said. She worked through the problems carefully, her tongue poking out slightly in concentration. "Is this right, Daddy?" I checked her work. "Perfect." She beamed. Nicole came in, drying her hands. "Bath time, Em." "Can I have 15 more minutes? I'm almost done." 15 minutes. Then bath, then bed. Nicole sat down across from me. "Thanks for helping her. I really can't remember how they teach it now. It's completely different from when we learned." "No problem." She tilted her head slightly, studying me. "You okay? You seem quiet." "Just tired. Long day." "I bet. Seattle and back in one day is brutal." My phone buzzed. A text from Brennan. "Let me know when you're ready to discuss next steps. Available anytime." I turned the phone face down. "Work?" Nicole asked. "Yeah." She reached across the table, put her hand over mine. "You work too hard." Her hand was warm. Her wedding ring caught the light from the chandelier above us. White gold, single diamond. I'd spent 2 months' salary on it 12 years ago. "Someone has to pay for violin lessons," I said. She smiled. "True. Though at this rate, maybe Emma will get a scholarship and pay us back." Emma finished her homework. Nicole took her upstairs for her bath. I could hear water running, Emma's voice carrying down the stairs, Nicole's responses. I sat at the dining room table and opened my phone. 37 photographs. I went through them slowly this time, looking at details I'd missed before. In photo 12, you could see the man's car in the driveway. A Honda Civic, maybe 5 years old. Silver. The license plate was clearly visible. In photo 23, taken from a different angle, you could see into the living room window. The throw pillows on the couch were arranged differently than they were now. Nicole must have straightened up after he left. In photo 31, the bedroom blinds were open again. You couldn't see inside, but the timing was clear. 11:58 a.m., 1 hour and 11 minutes after he'd arrived. I forwarded the entire report to my personal email. Then I forwarded it to a second email account I'd created that afternoon. Then I uploaded everything to a cloud storage service Nicole didn't have access to. Footsteps on the stairs. I closed the phone. Nicole came back down. She wants you to say goodnight. I climbed the stairs to Emma's room. She was in bed, her stuffed rabbit tucked under one arm. Good night, sweetheart. Night, Daddy. Will you be here for breakfast? Probably not. Early meeting tomorrow. Okay, she yawned. Love you. Love you too. I kissed her forehead and turned out the light. Downstairs, Nicole had poured herself another glass of wine. She was curled up on the couch, the cooking show still playing on the television. Want to watch something? She asked. Actually, I have some work to finish up. I'm going to use the office for a bit. On a Thursday night? Just need to review some documents for tomorrow, she shrugged. Okay, I'll probably head up soon anyway. I'm exhausted. I went into the home office and closed the door. My laptop was still where I'd left it that morning. I opened it and pulled up the contact information Brennan had sent me yesterday. 3 divorce attorneys, all highly rated, all specializing in high-asset cases. I'd already called 2 of them. Both had openings next week, but there was something else I needed to do first. I opened a new browser window and pulled up Nicole's store account, the one the salesperson had mentioned. I'd created it years ago, linked it to my credit card for the rewards points, but Nicole used it more than I did. The purchase history loaded. Pages and pages of transactions. Clothes, shoes, home goods, gifts. I scrolled back to last week. There it was. One dress, size 6, returned by a male customer. The return had been processed at 2:17 p.m. on Tuesday. I kept scrolling. 2 weeks before that, another dress, same size, purchased and then returned 3 days later. Also by a male customer, according to the notes. I went back further. 3 months ago, men's cologne. A brand I'd never heard of and definitely didn't wear. Purchased, never returned. 4 months ago, men's running shoes, size 10. I wore size 11. 5 months ago, another dress, size 6. Returned after 2 days. The pattern was clear once you knew to look for it. Nicole would buy things, give them to him, and he'd return whatever didn't work. Using her account. Using her rewards number. Using the credit card I paid off every month. I took screenshots of everything. Through the office door, I could hear Nicole moving around in the kitchen. The dishwasher starting its cycle. Lights being turned off. I'm heading up, she called. Okay, I'll be up soon. Her footsteps on the stairs. The bedroom door closing. I sat in the dark office, the laptop screen the only light, and looked at the evidence I'd compiled. Messages, photographs, purchase histories, investigator reports. 6 months of documentation. Maybe more, if the store records were any indication. Everything I needed. My phone buzzed again. Brennan. Also wanted to mention, got a clear shot of his license plate. Ran it through my contact at DMV. Name is David Paulson, 29. Lives in Riverside, about 2 miles from you. Works as a personal trainer at Lifetime Fitness on Riverside Drive. Let me know if you want more background. David. D with a heart emoji. A personal trainer. That explained the build, the gym schedule, the midday availability. I replied, send me everything you have. The response came within seconds. We'll have full background report by tomorrow morning. I closed the laptop and sat in the darkness. Upstairs, I could hear water running. Nicole getting ready for bed. The same routine she'd followed for 12 years. Wash face, brush teeth, moisturizer, hair tied back. Then she'd get into bed on her side, the left side, the side she'd slept on since we'd moved into this house. The side she'd slept on this morning, after David Paulson left at 11:58 a.m. I stood up and walked to the office door. The house was quiet now. Just the hum of the refrigerator, the distant sound of water in the pipes. I could go upstairs, get into bed, pretend everything was normal for one more night. Or I could do what needed to be done. My hand was on the doorknob when my phone buzzed one more time. A text from Nicole. "You coming to bed soon?" I stared at the message for a long moment. Then I typed back, "Soon. Just finishing up." But I didn't move toward the stairs. I stood at the office door for another minute, maybe two, watching the text cursor blink on my phone screen. The house was quiet above me. Nicole would be in bed by now, probably reading one of those psychological thrillers she liked. The irony wasn't lost on me. I pocketed the phone and walked to my desk instead of the stairs. The manila folder from Tom Brennan sat exactly where I'd left it, next to my laptop. I'd looked through it so many times I could recite the timestamps from memory. Thursday, 10:47 a.m. David Paulson's silver Mazda pulling into my driveway. Thursday, 11:58 a.m. Same car backing out. 1 hour and 11 minutes. I opened my laptop and pulled up the document I'd started 2 days ago. A timeline. Everything organized chronologically, cross-referenced with the text messages, the photographs, the store receipts. The kind of documentation you build when you're preparing for litigation. Because that's what this was now. Litigation. My phone buzzed again. "You okay down there?" I stared at the message. 3 words, casual concern, the kind of thing a wife asks her husband when he's working late. Normal, domestic, except nothing about this was normal anymore. Yeah, billing entries. You know how it is? The lie came easily. I'd gotten good at lying over the past week, small ones mostly. Traffic was bad. Long day at the office. I'm fine, just tired. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. Then appeared again. Don't stay up too late, love you. I set the phone face down on the desk. The timeline document had grown to 14 pages. I scrolled through it slowly, checking each entry against the evidence folder on my desktop. 6 months of text messages. 43 photographs. 17 store purchases made on our joint credit card. The private investigator's report with time-stamped images. And now I had the consultation appointments. 3 divorce attorneys, all with openings next week. I'd scheduled them during lunch hours, spread across Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Different firms, different specialties. I wanted options. The first was Monday at noon. Gregory Walsh, partner at Walsh & Associates. 20 years of family law experience, former prosecutor. His assistant had been efficient on the phone, asked me to bring financial documents and a summary of the situation. I had both ready. I pulled up the financial spreadsheet I'd compiled. Our joint checking account, the savings account, Emma's college fund, the house. We'd refinanced 3 years ago, still had a mortgage but decent equity. My 401k, Nicole's smaller retirement account from before she'd stopped working full-time. She'd gone part-time after Emma was born, doing contract paralegal work from home. Flexible schedule, she'd said. Better for Emma. I'd supported it completely. Seemed like the right choice for our family. Now I wondered how many Thursday mornings she'd used that flexible schedule to let David Paulson into our house. I closed the spreadsheet and opened the folder with Emma's information instead. Her school schedule, her violin lessons, her pediatrician's records. Everything I'd need for a custody arrangement. Joint custody was standard in these situations. Week on, week off, or some variation. Holidays split down the middle. Summer vacation divided into blocks. The thought of Emma spending half her time in whatever apartment Nicole would end up renting made my chest tight. Or worse, what if Nicole moved David into that apartment? What if my daughter had breakfast across the table from the man who'd been in our bed? I pushed back from the desk and walked to the window. The street outside was dark, just the orange glow of streetlights and the occasional lit window in neighboring houses. Normal people living normal lives. Going to bed with their spouses, trusting that the person next to them wasn't living a completely separate existence. My phone buzzed again. I almost ignored it, but old habits were hard to break. "Daddy, are you still working?" Emma. I checked the time, 9:47 p.m. She should have been asleep an hour ago. "Can't sleep, sweetheart?" "I heard you downstairs. Mom said you were doing work stuff." "Just finishing up. You should be sleeping." "Can you come say goodnight again?" I looked at the staircase, then back at my desk. The timeline document was still open on my laptop, the evidence folder, the attorney contact information. "Be right there." I climbed the stairs quietly. The master bedroom door was closed, a line of light visible underneath. Nicole was still awake. I walked past it to Emma's room at the end of the hall. She was sitting up in bed, her stuffed rabbit tucked under one arm. The nightlight cast soft shadows across her face. "Hey, princess, what's going on?" "I had a bad dream." I sat on the edge of her bed. "Want to talk about it?" She shook her head, then changed her mind. "You and Mom were fighting, really loud, and then you left and didn't come back." My throat constricted. "That was just a dream, Emma. I'm right here." "But what if you and Mom do fight? What if you get divorced like Mia's parents?" Mia, her friend from orchestra. I'd met the mother once, briefly, at a recital last year. Single mom, juggling work and parenting, always looked exhausted. "Why would you think that?" I kept my voice steady. "I don't know. You've been really quiet lately, and you work all the time. Mom says you're just busy, but—" She trailed off, picking at her rabbit's ear. "But what?" "Nothing. Never mind." I wanted to push, to ask what she'd noticed, what she'd overheard. But she was 9 years old, and it was almost 10 o'clock on a Friday night, and she'd just had a nightmare about her parents splitting up. "Your mom and I are fine," I said. Another lie. "And I'm not going anywhere, I promise." That part, at least, was true. Whatever happened next, I wasn't the one leaving. This was my house, my daughter, my life. Nicole was the one who decided to blow it all up. Emma settled back down, pulling the covers up to her chin. "Will you stay until I fall asleep?" "Of course." I sat there in the dim glow of the nightlight, watching her breathing slow and even out. It took maybe 10 minutes. When I was sure she was actually asleep, I stood carefully and walked back toward the stairs. The master bedroom door opened as I passed it. Nicole stood in the doorway wearing one of my old law school t-shirts, her hair down around her shoulders. "Is she okay?" "Bad dream. She's fine now." "Poor thing. She's been anxious lately." Nicole leaned against the doorframe. "I think she picks up on stress. You've been working so much." I looked at her. Really looked at her. She seemed genuinely concerned, her expression soft and maternal. No guilt. No tells. Nothing to suggest she was anything other than a worried mother discussing their daughter. "I'll try to cut back," I said. "That would be good?" She smiled. "For all of us." "Come to bed?" "Soon. I need to finish something first." "The billing entries?" "Yeah." She reached out and touched my arm, a casual gesture of affection. "Don't be too long. I miss you." I watched her walk back into the bedroom, the door closing softly behind her. Then I went back downstairs to my office. The laptop was still open, the timeline document still visible. I added a new entry. Friday, 9:52 p.m. Nicole asked about Emma's nightmare. Showed no awareness of situation, continuing to maintain normal behavior. Then I opened my email and started a new message to Gregory Walsh's office. They'd asked for a summary of the situation to review before Monday's consultation. I began typing. "Mr. Walsh, Per your assistant's request, please find attached a preliminary summary of my situation. I discovered 6 months ago that my wife has been having an affair with a personal trainer named David Paulson. I have extensive documentation including text messages, photographs, financial records, and private investigator reports. I paused, considering how much detail to include. Then I kept typing. My primary concern is securing custody of our 9-year-old daughter and protecting my financial interests. My wife does not know I'm aware of the affair. I have not yet confronted her, as I wanted to consult with legal counsel first. I look forward to discussing strategy on Monday. I attached the timeline document, the financial spreadsheet, and a selection of the evidence files. Then I hit send before I could second-guess myself. The email whooshed away into the night. Monday was 3 days away. 3 more days of pretending everything was normal. 3 more days of lying next to Nicole in that bed, under that gray duvet, in the room where she'd brought him. I could do 3 more days. I had to. The consultation with Gregory Walsh lasted 47 minutes. He sat across from me in his corner office, reading through the timeline while I waited. When he finally looked up, his expression was carefully neutral. "This is thorough," he said, almost prosecutorial. "I'm a litigator. I can tell." He set the documents aside. "Here's what you need to understand. Oregon is a no-fault divorce state. The affair, while emotionally significant, won't impact the divorce itself. What matters is assets and custody." I'd known this, of course, but hearing it stated plainly still felt like a punch. "However," Walsh continued, "this level of documentation will be useful for custody arguments. Pattern of deception, poor judgment, bringing a paramour into the family home while the child was at school. A judge will consider that. What are we looking at? For custody? Joint is standard, but given the circumstances, we can push for primary physical custody with you. She'd get visitation, but Emma's primary residence would remain with you in the family home. And financially?" Walsh pulled out a calculator. "Oregon is an equitable distribution state, not community property. The house, retirement accounts, savings, we'll need to divide them fairly, but not necessarily 50-50. Given that you've been the primary earner and she reduced her work hours voluntarily, we have room to negotiate." We spent the next 20 minutes discussing strategy. File quickly before she knew I was aware. Request temporary orders for custody and exclusive use of the family home. Push for mediation first, litigation if necessary. "When do you want to tell her?" Walsh asked. "I don't know yet." "Don't wait too long. The longer you maintain the status quo, the harder it becomes to argue you need emergency custody orders." I scheduled a follow-up for Thursday and left. The second consultation was Tuesday afternoon. Different attorney, similar advice. The third consultation on Wednesday added one crucial detail. "Document everything going forward," the attorney said. "Every interaction, every text message, every time she sees him. If this goes to trial, we'll need to establish ongoing pattern, not just historical evidence." So I documented. Thursday morning, I told Nicole I had a full day at the office. Instead, I worked from a coffee shop 3 blocks from our house. Tom Brennan and his team were parked down the street, cameras ready. At 10:23 a.m., the silver Mazda pulled into my driveway. At 11:47 a.m., it left. 1 hour and 24 minutes. The photographs arrived in my email by 2 p.m. I saved them in the evidence folder, now labeled Consultation Materials, in case Nicole ever looked at my laptop. Friday, I did the same thing. Different coffee shop, same result. David Paulson arrived at 10:15, left at 11:52. I had 2 weeks of documented evidence now. 4 separate incidents, photographs, timestamps, license plate confirmations, everything Walsh would need. Saturday morning, I took Emma to her violin lesson while Nicole went to the gym. Except I knew she wasn't going to the gym. I knew because Brennan was following her, and Brennan confirmed she met David Paulson at a coffee shop in downtown Riverside, where they sat together for 90 minutes. The photographs showed them holding hands across the table. I filed for divorce on Monday, November 27th. The process server delivered the papers to Nicole on Tuesday morning, after I'd already left for the office with Emma. I'd arranged for my mother to pick Emma up from school that day, told Nicole it was because I had a late meeting, which was true. The meeting was with Gregory Walsh. Nicole called me at 10:47 a.m. I let it go to voicemail. She called again at 10:53, again at 11:02. At 11:15, she texted, "We need to talk. Now." I waited until noon to respond. "I'm in a meeting. I'll be home at 6. The longest text I'd ever seen from Nicole arrived 30 seconds later. Accusations, denials, demands to know what I thought I was doing, threats about custody, pleas for me to call her. I read it twice, then forwarded it to Walsh with a note. Exhibit 47. When I got home that evening, Nicole was waiting in the living room. Her eyes were red, but she wasn't crying anymore. The papers sat on the coffee table between us. "You hired a private investigator," she said. Her voice was flat. "Yes." "You've been planning this for weeks." "Yes." "You didn't even give me a chance to explain." I sat down across from her, maintaining distance. "Explain what? The 6 months of text messages, the photographs, the man you brought into our house while I was working? Which part needs explaining?" She flinched. "It's not what you think." "It's exactly what I think. I have documentation, Nicole. Timestamps, license plates, store receipts. I know his name, where he works, where he lives. I know you saw him last Saturday at the coffee shop on Main Street. I know he was here last Thursday and Friday morning. I know everything." Her face crumpled. "I never meant for this to happen." "But it did happen. For 6 months it happened, and you made a choice every single time. You were never here." The words burst out of her. "You worked constantly. You traveled every week. You barely noticed I existed except as someone to take care of Emma and keep the house running. So you brought another man into our bed." Silence. "I want you out of the house," I said quietly. "My attorney has filed for temporary orders. You'll get the hearing notice in a few days. Until then, you can stay in the guest room, or you can find somewhere else. But you're not sleeping in our room anymore." "What about Emma?" "Emma stays with me. You'll have visitation, but she's not leaving this house." "You can't do that." "I already did. Read the filing." I stood up. "My attorney will be in touch with you about mediation. I suggest you get your own attorney." I walked toward the stairs. "I'm sorry." Her voice broke. "I'm so sorry." I paused, looked back at her. She was crying now, really crying, her whole body shaking with it. "So am I," said. And I meant it. The divorce took 8 months. Nicole fought the custody arrangement at first, but the evidence was overwhelming. The judge reviewed the private investigator reports, the photographs, the timeline of David Paulson's visits to our home during school hours. He was not impressed. "Mrs. Cook," the judge said during the custody hearing, "you brought your paramour into the family home on multiple occasions while your daughter was at school. You used marital funds to purchase gifts for him. You conducted this affair with apparent disregard for how discovery might impact your child. This court finds your judgment severely lacking." Emma stayed with me. Nicole got alternating weekends and 1 evening per week. The financial settlement was equally one-sided. I kept the house, the majority of our savings, and my full retirement account. Nicole got her car, half of the smaller savings account, and a portion of my 401k. No spousal support. Oregon law didn't favor it when the marriage was under 10 years, and while we'd been married 12, Walsh argued successfully that her affair and voluntary reduction in work hours demonstrated she wasn't entitled to ongoing support. Nicole moved into a one-bedroom apartment in the cheaper part of Riverside. David Paulson moved in with her 3 months later, though that relationship ended before the divorce was finalized. I learned this from Emma, who mentioned in passing that Mom's friend David doesn't come over anymore. I didn't ask for details. 2 years later, I stood in Emma's new bedroom in the house I'd bought in the better school district. Bigger than our old place, with a yard that backed onto a nature preserve. Emma had picked out the paint color herself, a soft purple that she insisted wasn't too babyish. "What do you think, Daddy?" I looked around at the room we'd spent the weekend setting up. Her violin stood in the corner, next to the bookshelf we'd assembled together. The abstract painting from my old bedroom, the one Nicole's mother had given us, hung above her desk. I'd kept it because Emma had always liked it. "I think it's perfect, sweetheart." She grinned and went back to arranging her stuffed animals on the bed. My phone buzzed. A text from Rachel, the woman I'd been seeing for 3 months. We'd met at a firm event, started talking about the ethics of billable hours, and somehow ended up having coffee the next week. She was a tax attorney, brilliant and funny, with no patience for games or deception. "How's the move going?" "Almost done. Emma's arranging her stuffed animals by size." "That's very organized of her. Dinner tomorrow night?" "Sounds good." I pocketed the phone and watched Emma work. She was 11 now, taller, more confident. The violin lessons had continued, and she'd made the youth orchestra. She saw Nicole every other weekend, and while it had been hard at first, she'd adjusted. Kids were resilient that way. "Daddy, can we get pizza for dinner, since it's moving day?" "Absolutely." She bounded past me toward the stairs, already calling out toppings she wanted. I took one last look around the room before following her. The afternoon light came through the window at a sharp angle, illuminating dust motes in the air. A new house, a new start. The kind of fresh beginning you only get after you've burned everything else down. 3 years after that, I sat in the audience at Emma's high school orchestra concert. She was first chair violin now, preparing for conservatory auditions. Rachel sat beside me, her hand raced in mine. Nicole was there too, 4 rows back. She'd remarried, a decent guy, an accountant, stable and kind. We were cordial at Emma's events, nothing more. The anger had faded into something more like indifference. Emma played Mendelssohn, her bow moving with precision and confidence. I watched her the same way I'd watched her at that recital 5 years ago, the night everything changed. Except this time, my phone stayed in my pocket. This time, I was fully present. After the concert, Emma found us in the lobby, her face flushed with excitement. "Did you hear that chord progression in the second movement? I thought I might miss it, but you were flawless," Rachel said. "Absolutely perfect," I agreed. Emma beamed, then spotted her mother across the lobby. "I should go say hi to Mom. Be right back." I watched her weave through the crowd, confident and self-assured. She'd be 18 in 3 years, college after that, her own life, her own choices. "You did good," Rachel said quietly. "We did good," I corrected. She squeezed my hand. The truth is, there's no perfect ending to a story like this. No moment where everything makes sense, where all the pain and deception and betrayal resolves into neat closure. But here's what I learned. Trust isn't something you give blindly. It's something you build with evidence and consistency and time. And when someone breaks that trust, you don't owe them the chance to break it again. I learned that protecting yourself isn't the same as being cruel. That documenting the truth isn't paranoia, it's preparation. That sometimes the hardest thing to do is also the right thing. I learned that my daughter was watching, always watching, learning from how I handled the worst moment of my life, and that the greatest gift I could give her was showing her that you don't have to accept betrayal just because it comes from someone you love. Most importantly, I learned that starting over isn't failure, it's courage. The notification that changed everything came during a violin recital. But the real change came in the months after, when I chose to act instead of ignore, to document instead of deny, to protect instead of pretend. Nicole lost the house, the marriage, primary custody of Emma, and most of our shared assets. Not because I was vindictive, but because actions have consequences. Because bringing another man into our home while our daughter was at school demonstrated a fundamental failure of judgment that courts take seriously. I won because I was prepared. Because I gathered evidence methodically and legally. Because I hired the right attorney and followed his advice. Because I didn't let emotion override strategy. But more than that, I won because I refused to be a victim of someone else's choices. 5 years after that notification, I stood in my kitchen making breakfast while Emma practiced violin upstairs, and Rachel read the newspaper at the counter. Ordinary, peaceful, real. The phone on the counter stayed silent, and I was grateful for it.